All right, so I want to quickly share something that has been on my mind all day. And typically, when it's repeating inside my head, I feel very led to share it. And this word is going to be very beneficial for some of you. For others, it's going to be very just superficial. You may not really see or understand it, or at worst, you will struggle with it. And what I mean is that a lot of us in this moment, whether you're witnessing something going on around you in your life, in your personal life, or just the world around you, is that God's timing and God's process for something requires its full completed work. And before you brush this off, before you skip ahead, let me tell you something. A lot of us, we're planning too much. We're calculating too much about we should make the decision right now. We should think about what we've got to do, how it's got to work out, make the choice right now before it matures, before it grows, before you get through this process. And the example that I have been thinking about is marriage. If you ask somebody who you've been on a date with, right, 1 or 2 dates, do you want to get married? Should we think about marriage? Should we consider marriage? Yes, you have to go in the direction of marriage, especially as a believer. You have to be intentional about where you're going, but you do not have to answer that question, at least between you and the person, on the first or second date. It's a strategic point that is going to not lead to, in some sense, a productive outcome because you're forcing something prematurely. You're getting somebody to step into a place that they're not ready to step into just yet because things can change. You need the process of going through 20 dates, 30 dates to figure things out. And then you could make the decision to marry the person. You could step away from it all and say, hey, this is not right for us. There's something else that I realize through this process that I have come to a realization of, an epiphany, an understanding, a maturity, a readiness. And then, and therefore, I can make the decision to get married or not. Because a lot of us jump the gun. A lot of us look at our life or situation or circumstance, whatever you're struggling with, whatever calling God has given you, the stewardship you have over something, and you think to yourself, I've got to think 10 steps ahead. And it sounds good in some sense. Yes, you should plan in a way. You should be strategic. You should pray about your future. You should really be shrewd, tactical in trying to outline certain things. But for you to make a decision that's too far ahead of your life, telling a first grader, what do you want to study in college? Telling somebody very early on to recognize, to wake up to realize, to mature into a place they're not ready for yet because they have not gone through the entire process is premature, it's immature, and it's something that you should not be worried about at this moment. A lot of people are stepping too many steps ahead and you're consuming yourself with the things that don't matter in the moment. And I'm not brushing off the fact that we should be thinking ahead and praying about our future and just calculating certain things as it is appropriate. But many of us, we ignore the process. We ignore the fact that you have to go through some dates. You have to go through a process. You have to figure it out. You have to wrestle through with certain things in order to get to that realization of whether or not you want to get married to somebody or whatever the thing is in your life. I'm using marriage as an example because it was cycling in my head, but I'm saying this because many of us, with our fast, instant gratification phones and technology and everything that we want so quickly, we can research something, we can look up, we can Google something, now we can chat GPT something, now we can ask and call a friend and do whatever it is quickly. And we assess things in such a hyperspeed mentality that we forget the process. We forget to slow down, to sit back, sit in his presence, more importantly, to pray, to really meditate, and to come before him, to work through these things in its due course, however long it takes. And maybe you don't know how long it takes, but you have to wrestle through it. And that process, that growth process, the sanctification process is very important, and it's happening to many things in society right now. You can't just spur on and just unleash everything all at once. You just can't have all this upgrade and this justice and just whatever it is that's going on in the world and just reveal everything. You can't have total exposure all at once. You can't have people realizing and stepping into something that they're not ready to step into yet. Same thing goes for your life. Same thing goes for your church, the roles that you have. You don't have somebody who's in high school just step up to be the senior pastor of your church. You don't have this skipping steps You have to work through the process. And so a lot of us, we're confused about this and we're taking up extra mental effort and energy in our brains, in our hearts, emotional baggage. Many things are cycling without stepping back and saying, Lord, I want to embrace the process. I want to know step by step. Take me through the steps. You guide me. You lead me. And I will figure it out. I'm moving in that general direction of marriage. I'm not going to mess around and just do this for fun or what, in the example of the dating. But you know and you realize you have a direction. It's godly. You're being upright. You're righteous. You're surrendering your life before Him. But He will take you through the many steps, and He will allow you to experience whatever it is that you have to experience. Because it could, yes, you could decide to make that decision that you've already foresaw, which is marriage in that example, or any other thing. Or you could decide not to do it, and you figured that out after the fact, after you go through the process. Do not ignore the process in this hour. Many of us have to go through it. Many of us have yet to experience it, and we're almost there, but let it run its full course. God's using it for big things, for many people. He has to mature. He has to grow. He has to allow you to chew through, to meditate on, and to consume the steps in sequence as appropriate. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.